3 days after what felt like the best call of her month, Maya checks her inbox for the 4th time that morning. Still nothing. 20 minutes into that call, a founder had told her, "This is exactly what we need." Now he's gone completely silent, and the only thing that happened in between is that she answered his question honestly and right away. Here's the problem. Answering a price question honestly is not the same as answering it well. That difference has probably cost you a deal too, even if you never realized why you lost it. Nothing Maya did on that call would look wrong to most people. She was friendly, she knew her craft, and she gave a fair price. But 3 specific things happened around that price, not the number itself, that quietly ended the deal. I'll walk through all 3, then I'll replay the same call the way it should have gone. Let's go back to the beginning of that call. Maya had been freelancing for 2 years, mostly designing logos and small business websites. This project was bigger than usual. A founder getting ready for a fundraising round needed a full brand identity, logo, website, and pitch deck before he met investors. 20 minutes into the conversation, things were going well. He was engaged, asking good questions, nodding along. Then he said the words every freelancer wants to hear. "This is exactly what we need." Maya felt genuinely relieved. It seemed like the deal was already done. Then he asked, "So, roughly, what would something like this cost?" Maya answered right away. "Around $4,000, she said confidently. "There was not a bad one," he said. "Great, let me think it over and get back to you." He never did. She followed up 3 times over the next 2 weeks. No response. Eventually, she stopped trying. Here's a quick reason you should trust what I'm about to explain. I'm a chartered accountant. I've been on both sides of this exact situation, the person naming a price, and the person deciding whether to accept someone else's. What happened to Maya is extremely common. Here's the first reason it happens. Maya's price came with no context behind it. 10 minutes into a good conversation, she gave a number, but she hadn't yet explained why that number made sense for this specific situation. When a client hears a price with no context, there's only one thing their mind can do with it: compare it. The founder likely thought about 2 other designers he had already spoken to. He may have thought about a cheaper option he'd seen online. Or he simply wondered, is $4,000 a lot for a logo and a website? This is what I call the commodity trap. A price without context isn't really a price. It's just a number, and any number gets compared and shopped around. If Maya had spent 10 more minutes understanding what a weak brand identity was actually costing this founder, maybe a recent investor call where he felt embarrassed by his pitch deck, or leads he was losing to a competitor with a better-looking website, her $4,000 price wouldn't have been compared to anyone else's. It would have been the answer to a specific, expensive problem that only she now fully understood. So instead of asking, "What's your budget for this?" which is still really a price question, try asking, "Before we talk about numbers, what is this actually costing you right now?" That question is exactly what Maya skipped. Here's a part of this story that didn't actually happen to Maya, because the deal ended before it got this far, but it happens constantly to deals that do go through. Imagine the founder had said yes to $4,000. 2 weeks into the project, it turns out brand refresh actually meant a full rebrand, a new logo, a new website, a pitch deck, and a style guide, none of which were discussed on the call. The real scope of work was actually worth closer to $7,000. Now the designer is stuck. If she raises her price, she risks sounding like she's changing the deal after the fact, or worse, like she deliberately underquoted to win the job. So, in practice, most freelancers just accept the extra work for free, telling themselves it's a one-time exception. But it isn't, because this isn't really a client problem. It's a sequencing problem. This is the ceiling problem. Whatever number you say first becomes the highest that number will ever be. You can always lower a price later. It's very hard to raise one. The fix isn't to just quote higher to protect yourself. That only makes you seem expensive before you've shown any value. The real fix is to fully understand the scope of the project, every part of it, every person involved, and what finished actually looks like to the client, before you say any number at all. Has this happened to you? Quoted early, found out the real scope was way bigger, and just ate the difference. Tell me in the comments. I read every one. Now think back to the exact moment in Maya's call. The founder asked about price, and she answered immediately, no pause, words already coming out, still riding the good energy of the conversation. That speed is actually the real problem, not the number itself. An instant answer doesn't come across as efficient to the person listening. It comes across as eager, or even a little desperate. And the moment a client senses that, something shifts in their mind. They stop asking, will this actually solve my problem? And start asking, can I get this somewhere cheaper? That's very likely the real reason the founder went quiet. Not because $4,000 was too expensive, but because how quickly she answered told him she needed this deal more than he needed the solution. This is the desperation signal. There's no clever line that fixes this. The fix is simply a pause. Just 2 or 3 seconds of silence before you answer, or even saying something like, that's a good question, let me actually think about it for a second, gives you the space to sound like someone with other options, because people can genuinely tell the difference between an answer that comes from confidence and one that comes from fear of losing the deal. Now let's rewind Maya's call and replay it with all 3 of these fixed. Same 20 minutes into the conversation. Same question. So roughly, what would something like this cost? This time, she doesn't answer right away. Instead, she asks, before we get into numbers, what is this actually costing you to keep putting off? He pauses, actually pauses, and says, honestly, I had an investor call last month, and I was embarrassed by our pitch deck. That's part of why I'm doing this now. She continues, okay, and if this goes well, new brand, new deck, everything, what does that let you do in 6 months that you can't do today? Probably close the funding round. Or at least not lose it because of how we look. Got it. She pauses again, this time on purpose. Here's what I'd recommend, and here's the investment. $7,000, covering the brand identity, the pitch deck, and the website. Same designer, same skill level, a higher price than before, and this time he agrees before the call even ends. So 3 things, not the number itself, that actually decide whether a deal closes. The commodity trap, the ceiling problem, and the desperation signal. The best salespeople don't avoid the price question. They simply make sure it's not the first question they answer. If you want the fast version of the 3rd point, just the pause itself, explained in under a minute, I made a short video that covers exactly that. Watch that one next.